Engineer Kiari, it's good to have you speak with us. My first question will be, why should an aircraft be maintained?
An aircraft is like any other machinery that has been manufactured by human beings, and to keep it in top shape, there has to be maintenance to make sure that any snag with such machines are put right, and then you have periodic maintenance to make sure that you adjust and correct some out of specification operation by components on the aircraft to bring them back to their ultimate design capability.
We hear the word repair, overhaul, and inspection. Can you just explain what those words mean to us?
Companies are at times called MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Well, the word maintenance is just, like we said, is activities carried out on an aircraft to make sure the aircraft is brought back to its design capability. Then repairs is when components on the aircraft or the airframe or the engines are damaged or destroyed by some other extraneous factors or even within, and such aircraft needs to be repaired. And such repairs can also mean replacing some of the parts. And then overhaul is a periodic activity on the aircraft that is being built into it, that after some months or some flight hours or flying cycles, the aircraft must go back into a maintenance facility where total overhaul of the aircraft is done and then given a new lease of life.
So what checks take place in an airline's hangar?
All manners of maintenance can be done in an airline hangar, depending on the capacity of the hangar. But basically, you will find out that C and D checks are done in the hangar. But you can also have an A check, which is a very simple check. If weather does not permit for that check to be done outside, it can also be taken into the hangar for such a check to be done. So all the four scheduled maintenance on an aircraft can be done inside the hangar. And even very serious repairs can also be done inside a hangar.
So can you just explain to us what you mean by A and B checks?
A checks are checks that are done weekly on an aircraft, most especially commercial aircraft. A checks are done every week. Then B checks are done monthly, while C checks are done between 1 and 2 years. Then D checks are done between 4 and 5 years. Some can also replace the calendar months with flying hours. So whichever one comes first, as recommended by the manufacturer of the machine. And a C check, like we said earlier, must be done in a hangar that has enough facilities and also has, that facility has qualified manpower in the facility to undertake the C check. The ability to also have and procure enough spare parts for the check. You may discover that in Nigeria, you hardly can hear any aircraft of 737 doing C check in Nigeria. No, we don't have the facilities for now. Though in the 80s, Nigeria was able to do C and D checks on 737. But all that, instead of improving on such facilities, we rather went back. Today, we are having to do C checks outside the country, which is quite unfortunate.
Is it important that checks follow the manufacturer's manual?
it is extremely very, very important that operators adhere to what the manufacturers have recommended. And in fact, that is what the regulator is monitoring. The regulators monitor those maintenance that must be done according to the manufacturer's recommendation in the aircraft maintenance manuals. That is the job of the regulator, to oversight what operators are doing and make sure that they enforce such maintenance in accordance to manufacturer's instructions.
Why do the airlines always have to do the C checks outside the country?
We don't have a maintenance facility in the country that is capable of giving us a C check on most of these commercial aircraft. And then if we have to do a C check in the country, it means importing. And today, when you look at hangarage facility in the country, you are looking at just the Air Force that people have been moving into to do their checks. That is A and B checks. But then, that's a military hangar. We're only using it because there is none. We're supposed to have. A C check could take between 1 to 3 weeks, depending on the facilities that the MOR has on ground. Otherwise, it can be longer.
What is the relationship between the airworthiness of an aircraft and its maintenance?
Aircraft maintenance is like the supporting legs on which airworthiness is. Maintenance must be done to make an aircraft airworthy. That is to say, an aircraft must be in a total state of being able to fly without much challenges. And so without maintenance, an aircraft cannot be airworthy. And faulty maintenance can actually invalidate an airworthy aircraft, and which the regulator will likely ground such an aircraft.
Is airworthiness in any way tied to air returns?
Even human beings who are able to say, I'm sick here or this, can at times be taken by surprise. So in the course of maintenance or in the course of flight operations, anything can develop, and it is only a sensible pilot who will see or identify an issue that is a threat to safe flight operation that will continue to fly. So anytime they notice that there's something very critical that has just developed in the air, the best thing is to return to base. And if he has gone midway and is closer to his destination, is to continue to his destination. Or if there is an alternative airport that he can land, the word is land at the nearest airport and let the issue be resolved. So you can say the aircraft was airworthy when it took off and a problem developed. So it has now become unairworthy. Immediately the pilot knows that there's a challenge, he brings it down, and that issue must be completed or rectified to bring back the aircraft into an airworthy condition.
The overall goal of maintenance is air safety. Do you think that airlines in Nigeria are living up to the game?
These are issues that one is tempted to make a comparison of airline operations in the 70s, 80s into 90s before NCA came on board. When you do compare those periods, you can say today the Nigerian aviation industry or the aeroplanes flying in Nigeria today are much better. They are more airworthy than they used to be because regulations are quite tight and people are right on their job doing surveillance on the aeroplanes that are flying in Nigeria today. So, truly speaking, yes, people may have other observations which one cannot tell, but on the average, yes, we have a lot of airworthy aeroplanes in the industry today.